First Alert Forecast, certified most accurate since 2004.
All right, we've got some rain to talk about back in the forecast. That is the next big thing for us as we step a little bit closer to the weekend. The good news, it's not a washout, so we don't have to necessarily worry about the entire day on Saturday featuring rain. I really think it's going to be confined more so to a window as you get into the afternoon, especially late afternoon, early evening. That's all as that cold front starts to roll in. Maybe you get an isolated rumble of thunder with it. And then once that front clears, it takes a little bit more time for us to rebuild in some of that moisture on the backside, where a few places, very few, could potentially see some lake-enhanced showers east of Cleveland as we go through the day on Sunday. That would be the extent of the rain chances that we're talking about for this weekend. Now, there are a couple more opportunities headed into the early part of this next week, so we are keeping a relatively active weather pattern around, but really those rain chances, at least especially early on in the week, should be pretty manageable. One thing to note, it is going to be very windy. Winds could gust easily upwards of 35, maybe tip the scale 40 miles per hour because you're talking about such a strong change in your temperatures going from the 60s one day to the 40s the next day. That creates a lot of wind in our atmosphere, so be mindful of that. It is going to be a little bit more blustery as we go through the course of this weekend. There's your rain, still well off to our west. We have some time before it makes its way into northeast Ohio, so short-term forecast for the rest of this evening. Things stay relatively quiet. Temperatures actually the coolest prior to midnight, and then we start to see this warm front passing through, keeping a few clouds around the area. Maybe you get an isolated shower out of it. I think most of us will stay dry, but it's certainly just not off the table that one or two showers pops up as that temperature continues to warm back into the lower 60s once we get into tomorrow afternoon. So all that heat, all that moisture that we try to build in, that's what gets you that better opportunity for some showers. Again, like I said, late afternoon, early evening, the best opportunity for us to see some rain. That's your cold front moving down towards the southeast. It's a pretty quick moving front, so we don't expect a ton in the way of rainfall, maybe upwards of about 1/4 of an inch at best. And then as we essentially get into Saturday night, things go quiet for us for the most part as a northwest wind starts to settle in and temperatures begin the tumble that we will really feel as we go through the day on Sunday. Starting off Sunday morning, lots of spots could easily be starting off the day with some clear skies in place. The exception will be our essential primary snowbelt location. That's where you're going to get some of those lake-enhanced clouds anywhere up near the lake shore, and east especially, you may have a little bit of moisture that you're picking up off of the Great Lakes, and that may get you a couple showers. You'll notice a little mixing here. It's possible, especially in some of the higher elevations, that you might get a flurry or two, maybe some grapple mixing in with some showers. Overall, nothing that I would think would be concerning for us as we essentially wrap up the weekend. So you'll notice temperatures well above freezing. So again, this would just be something that would fall, maybe looks a little pretty from time to time, not going to cause us a whole lot of issues. We quiet this weather pattern down a little bit for Monday. It'll still be windy because there's another system we're watching coming through on Tuesday. And across our southern counties, may bring a couple showers, but really what we're waiting on is this late week system. That's going to increase an opportunity for rain. And yes, it will also increase that temperature briefly before we make another return to the 40s by next weekend.